Hey everyone out there in Facebook land, it's Andrew Berman from NMP and NMP TV. If you're noticing our new look, that's right. There's nothing wrong with your screen. We've just unveiled our new look, and over the next couple of days, you're going to see the new magazine, new NMP, NMP TV, and kicking off our new look, our new identity is none other than my good buddy Phil Shoemaker. Phil, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Awesome to be here, Andrew. I appreciate you having me.
So we are here actually for a couple of reasons. First off, I want to actually talk to Phil about actually the unbelievable things actually that's been happening at HomePoint. Talk to Phil about obviously how HomePoint has been dealing with COVID-19. I also we're here to celebrate. This calls for a celebration. So we've just actually heard that HomePoint slipped into the number 2 spot. Congratulations, HomePoint, Phil. And I know it's not just you, it's an entire team of kick-butt people over there at HomePoint. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I have to start by saying, we really appreciate all of our business partners out there. We fully recognize that our success is really your success, and the main reason I joined HomePoint, and I'm sure we'll get into this later, Andrew, is just culturally. I'm just so proud of our team and who I work for and who I work with, and it's all about people, man. Number 2 is great, but at the end of the day, it's just a number. We're gonna keep coming to work every day, and we're gonna just be better. And I think if we do that, we'll be happy and we'll all have a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's right, Jason. Phil Shoemaker is the man. So talk to us a little bit about actually though, and we're gonna go back actually into a little bit people that don't know about you, but talk to us a little bit about your commitment to your partners, and why that's just been just such a that focus has been such a key part of your success.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, well, I guess let me give you a little bit of my background. So, I've been in mortgage banking for, I guess at this point, going on 24 years. I started out in technology, and then I morphed into the business side. I think I was one of those rare, IT people that could actually relate with and talk right from a business standpoint. And so I spent really most of my career at one spot. It started off in a company called First Magnus, a great company. Unfortunately, it met its demise in 2007 with the financial crisis. And then after that, started a new company that ultimately became Caliber Home Loans. And so spent about 11 years at Caliber, and ultimately left Caliber about I guess a year and a half or so ago at this point. And really the reason why I left and what I was looking for is I wanted to, culture is a big thing for me. And so I really wanted to, look for a different team that maybe was more aligned with how I saw the world. And with that, I think, and I want to be careful because this can come across as is a bit contentious at times, but I think that I'm really passionate about third party in wholesale and correspondent. There's not to say that there's anything wrong with distributed retail, but I think that speaking from the lender standpoint, I think success is about focus. And in the case of third party, I feel like it positions a company to be able to focus more on making the platform better, and spending your time in the areas that I think can maybe count a little more. And I just think it's better ultimately for the in-state borrower. I think it's there are efficiencies that you see in third party in terms of, I'll say this. I think this is a great example. If a broker wants to go out and hire 10 loan officer assistants and take down the most expensive office space in the middle of Beverly Hills, and they do 2 units a month and they can make money at doing that, then you know what? I want them to be able to be empowered to do that. and if they're successful, then I'm gonna cheer for them. And if they're not, the market's pretty efficient, and I don't have to manage that. I guess is my point. I can spend all my time where I get excited, where I get pumped up is is working on, our process and working with our sales team and working with our ops team to build a better mousetrap and build a better support structure, to support our partners in different and unique ways. And that's ultimately what led me to HomePoint. Willie Newman, our CEO, is he's very, very similar, I think, in the way he views the world. And as a result, I think culturally what we've created is a company that is 100% aligned. Every day, every single one of us gets up in the morning and we put on our shoes and we come to work with one single goal in mind. And that is to be the best third-party lender for our customers, right? And focus, makes you better.
Yeah. So Phil, something I'm going to I'm going to talk about something that might be a little uncomfortable, but I'm going to bring it up.
Oh, I'm in, man. Let's get into it.
So listen, you've always talked so positively about Caliber. And it's such a great company. And I think actually you've said some great things about them. People that do business with them, they love them. And I think it's amazing how the company has actually been able to do really well in multiple channels. But what did HomePoint present in terms of an opportunity that you didn't see you were able to do at Caliber?
Yeah, and I want to be 100% clear because I still have a lot of friends at Caliber. I don't think there's anything wrong with Caliber. And I'm still look back at that. And you are just getting right into it, aren't you? I still look back and I'm really proud of what they're doing over there. But I'll be honest, that is the difference. I felt personally like I was not able to focus on the things that I wanted to focus on in terms of how to build a different platform and how to grow the business and just be 100% specific. I think, and again, it's not a bad thing, right? For these companies that have these multi-channel deals, they're able to achieve. There's a lot of value you get out of that benefit, and then you create more scale, and through the scale, I think it gives you a huge financial advantage. But the one thing, and maybe this is the right way to say it, I'm really competitive, and when I feel like I can no longer innovate and move the ball forward, that becomes a very frustrating thing for me. And unfortunately, I think because of the focuses or the focus at Calgary, it was hard for me to do that. I felt like I kind of reached the top of where I could go in what I could do. And so as a result, it's time to do something different. And by the way, I think that's good for people. Like, I don't think, going back to my background, it's probably not the healthiest thing that I was a 41-year-old man and never found another job. I literally had the same job for 23 years. And so it was a good experience for me just making that change and seeing a new culture and experiencing a new group of people.
Yeah, and of course you went to school actually to become a mortgage banker, right?
Oh yeah, right. No, I'm an electrical engineer turned mortgage banker, and oddly enough, there's more of us than you think. I've found a few electrical engineers along the way that there's something about mortgage banking that really gets us. I don't know what it is.
So and have you talked with these other other electrical engineers about what is it that has you reading National Mortgage Professional instead of EE Times?
Actually, oddly enough, we have. Yeah, I think what it is that mortgage banking is such a dynamic problem. I mean, if you really at how as the more involved, as many of the people watching probably have seen, the more involved you get in mortgage banking, you see the different sides of it. It's incredibly interesting. I mean, how just the human side of how loans are originated, the complexity of the process, the complexity of the technology, the complexity of the back end, the how meaningful and important it is to our overall economy. I don't think that non-mortgage banking people really fully understand how important mortgage banking is to our economy. And I think that resonates with people that have an engineering mindset, because we typically like complex problems that are hard to solve.
And that really makes a lot of sense. I mean, and really, it's our whole industry is just a big problem. I mean, if you think about it, actually, there's problems with title, there's problems with credit. I mean, it's like your entire organization is trying to navigate through these problems where you're trying to figure out actually, these various different problems, so you can deliver the best rate and best experience to the borrowers. But why is it actually, like, what is it about the path of the mortgage broker that you think actually, is a better pursuit for your organization? Why does Willie actually say brokers? Like, what is it about that versus actually, just building distributed retail? No one's saying anything's better or anything like that, but like, clearly you guys have said, we know we can kick butt in this. There's plenty of people out there saying, we know we can deliver the best experience to the borrowers by doing distributed retail. What is it about the third party origination channel that you guys said, hey, we got this, we know we could destroy it and really have an impact in here and make it to the number 2 position?
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple things to that, and so I think just talking more macro from a channel perspective, I think the fact that wholesale promotes competition is a good thing, right? So I personally think it's good when new lenders are entering in wholesale, and I think the reason why you're seeing the shift from retail to wholesale is because of the innovation that my predecessor being a part of that, the current largest wholesaler in the country was a big part of that. There's been these companies over the last, call it, I'd say probably 5, 6, 7 years that have really built out, I think, competitive platforms in wholesale to support an independent originator in a way that is now competitive with the retail channel. And specifically what I mean by that is, this refi boom that we're in is great, man. Let's do as many refis as we can. But the reality is, it is all about purchase. And the way and I believe this is going to be, at least in my lifetime, this won't change. The way you drive purchase volume is through physical distribution, people out in the field to have relationships with referral partners. And those people are not going to send loans to a lender unless that lender is able to deliver on those expectations, because they don't want to risk damaging the relationship with that referral partner. And so I think what's unique about wholesale and why you're seeing this shift in growth in market share and why you're going to continue to see the shift is because platforms have matured to a point where wholesale lenders can deliver on those expectations and protect the referral partners. And I think what's causing that to accelerate faster than you see in retail is because the competition. Meaning I have to get up every day and I have to come to work and I have to figure out how to do things better, faster, smarter, right? And it's not just about, like, service is important. You also have to be, competitive on price, because I think that world is changing as well. I think that the automation is driving things to become more commoditized, and so I just enjoy that. I think to go back to your question, the reason why I believe we're positioned well to do this. The reason why I believe our CEO feels the same way is we are a company that's very focused on being progressive, on changing, on innovating, and that's just a mindset. You know what I mean? I think that kind of lends itself to wholesale, right? I think you see the companies that are really succeeding kind of have that in their DNA. They don't settle, man. They want to be better, right? And that's kind of it in a nutshell, I guess. That was a lot, wasn't it?
No, it says a lot. It's listen, there's so many reasons why I think actually, you're the number 2 spot, and why there's no stopping. There's no stopping, and especially as mortgage broker market shares is just gonna only increase. I mean, that's what I feel. I'm assuming you probably feel the same way, but I just look at the opportunities. We know we're going to have unbelievable volume for the foreseeable future, and retail mortgage lenders are not going to be able to catch up to be able to capture that business. Mortgage brokers, just because it's so easy for a mortgage broker to hire someone, for a mortgage broker to hire someone, put them on the street and be able to share their business cards, significantly less onboarding time, and if they're going to go work for a mortgage bank and all the hoops that they have to jump through. Mortgage brokers, I've always been a big fan, and that's why I love the model of what you guys are doing, because it's not just actually about brokers, because you guys are saying actually we're not partners on this one loan, we're partners on this for the life of actually that customer, and I listen, I think actually your customer for life program that you guys have really exemplifies that. So you keep 99% of your servicing, right?
That's correct. Yeah. 99%. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
And that's,
I wrote it up above my shoulder in case I forgot. So 99%. So what do you do actually to kind of help connect the broker to the borrower after the close? So I close my loan. Typical, mortgage broker. Maybe I'm sending some kind of follow up messages. Maybe I have some kind of CRM that's doing something to. But what are you guys doing above and beyond what the mortgage broker is doing out there to kind of keep that borrower back, with the broker?
It's actually pretty simple. In that, as the servicer of the loan, we have
pretty simple, says the electrical engineer. Pretty simple, says the electrical engineer. That gets me nervous, but sorry.
No, it really is that simple. In that we're as the servicer, we have this incredible opportunity to help build a relationship with the customer, and that we're interacting with the customers on an ongoing basis. When you originate a loan, you have this meaningful interaction with the customer, and then they buy their home, and then that's it. And some years later, they need a refi, and you hope that where they're at in their life, in their mindset, that they think of you. And I know originators are really good at sending follow-up emails, trickling emails, like trying to kind of keep in touch. But the reality is, if you just kind of think of yourself as a consumer, I mean, if you're not having meaningful interaction with someone or something, the barrage of emails you get every day, right? I quickly tune that out, right? And I only focus on the stuff that has meaning to me now, that's relevant now, and so that's, I think, where our strategy really is rooted, is that as the servicer, we did not, our customers that we service didn't pick HomePoint. They came through us through a third party, and so we feel like it's kind of beholden on us to protect that relationship, and through those meaningful interactions we're having, we're sending them their pay statements, we're collecting their payments, we're answering their questions on their escrow account, we're sending them their annual escrow analysis, we're sending them their annual tax statement. These are very meaningful things that a person is going to pay attention to, and so through those interactions, our strategy is we make sure that we keep our business partners top of mind with that customer. Right.
So as a broker, I'm in those communications. So when you're sending the escrow statement, I'm there. So when the in February comes around, and I have actually my the tax documents that I'm bringing to my CPA, my information as the broker is also a part of that.
So that is our in-state goal, is to, in every opportunity we can. Now we haven't gotten to the in-state goal. I've only been here a year and a half, Andrew. So give me a break. But I will say, we actually have launched. It's kind of been muted because of we've been so focused on what's going on with COVID and everything there. But we have launched a program where when a borrower comes into the servicing website, we call it the Homeownership platform. When they come into this, because we want to broaden it. We want to make it more about home ownership as an experience and not transactional, right? And so when they come into that platform, we have what you normally see, call to actions. If we see that they're in the market for a refi, it'll pop up and they can click on it, and it has the broker's contact information, and they can click a button. It'll actually trigger an email that will prompt the broker to call them back at their requested time. And so that's just the beginning, though. That's ultimately where we're taking it. Is we want, and again, this isn't. It's funny because I think people get spun up on the ownership of the customer. And I always kind of find that funny, because the reality is no one really owns the customer, right? It's the broker doesn't own the customer. We don't own the customer. The customer's going to make up their own mind around who they want to use on their next transaction. But the reality is this: they came to HomePoint through the broker, right? Or through, and so they have that relationship intact. And so our thought process is, let's respect the relationship, and let's honor what the customer wants to do. And what we have found over and over again is that this business is still a people business, and I don't think that's going to change. And I think that people very much appreciate doing business with other people that are in their local neighborhoods, towns, cities, whatever. And so I think that when you marry kind of that type of thought process with servicing, with the physical distribution that you can create with wholesale, which kind of brings me back to the whole retail question. Look, retail it's a great business, but the reality is retail lenders are really only successful if they're able to create a large amount of scale. Like, scale is incredibly important. And so as a wholesale lender, it's a lot easier for me to create scale through physical distribution that drives purchase, right? Through wholesale, right? And so that is kind of our unique value prop, is no one's really successfully married the servicing function with the physical distribution and scale of wholesale. And that's, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do.
Wow. That's powerful. I mean, it's definitely, and it's working. It's clearly working. Because listen, think about this. If you said, because you guys are 5 years old and in the number 2 spot, and to your point about scaling, could you imagine actually if you said, hey, 5 years ago, we're going to open up a mortgage lender, and you didn't open up, you had some, you acquired some companies to get to that point, but we're going to open up a mortgage lender, and we're going to be the number 2 retail lender, in 5 years. It's so much more difficult to scale it, to your point, whereas wholesale, it's a lot easier to do.
You completely get it, Andrew. That's why I'm on your show. Yes, you completely get it. To give you a sense of what I'm talking about, we were in last February, I think, was our low point in wholesale, at least after I joined. And I think we had that month, we originated like 275 million in volume. This month we'll originate 3.2 billion. So in literally less than a year and a half. And again, the way you do that, just because I don't think it's easy either. I will say it's the fastest I've ever been a part, and from a scaling standpoint, it's the fastest I've ever seen or been a part of. And I think really what's unique about HomePoint, while we were able to do that, is I'm telling you, like, the people we have on our team are hands down, on the sales side, on the ops side, on the capital market side, on the finance side, on the servicing side. Like, the people we have across our company are the best I've ever seen. And what I mean by that, I don't just define the best as they're incredibly smart and capable. That's a given. I mean, they're genuinely kind and good people, and they care very deeply about their teammates, about the service they provide our customers, and they're not self-serving. And I think where that comes from is it's a cultural thing that starts at the top. It's something that you have to kind of push down and reinforce, and find people that are like-minded, that see the world the way you see the world, and that's how it happens. I think that you have that as a basis for growth. You have a culture of people that all see the world that way, where they come to work and they just want to do the right thing. Everything else is kind of falling into place. But we still have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do.
Yeah. How long do you think till you get to that number 1 spot?
Oh, I genuinely look. I will pay attention to the rankings. Like I would be lying if I said I don't look at that stuff and it makes me smile. But I don't focus on it. And a good friend and mentor of mine, Joe Anderson, actually, he was the CEO of Caliber way back when, and he used to always say, "We don't collect trophies. We don't collect trophies." And he just beat this into me, and he's right. Like, you don't. I think that look, celebrate your successes, but at the end of the day, it's not about the trophy. It's about the journey, and that comes back to the people. That comes back to and that's why, like, I just tell you, like, I'm so excited to be on this team. I literally every day I come to work with in my basement during the quarantine, and so that hopefully changes soon. But every day I come to work and I have a huge smile on my face, and I just can't say enough good things about the people I work with.
That's great. That's great. So we got some feedback from the audience here. We got Chandra. Mr. Newman has always cultivated a great team. Amen. 100%. Yeah, this is not his first rodeo putting together an unbelievable company with great people. And then one from Joel Berman, aka my dad. Do you find you need to re-educate the mortgage brokers you bring on board to get them to adjust to your unique culture and undo their old ways?
That's a good question, because I will say that we're not for everyone, and I don't think it's about doing business with everyone. It's about aligning with the right business partners, and so I guess to answer your question, I think what we find is business partners are often surprised at how responsive HomePoint is and how easy we are to work for them and how much we care. That's our tagline, and so I don't think it's challenging, but I do think that's a big part of what's driving our success is people recognize that as something that's incredibly important, and they gravitate towards it.
People like Martin Waring says Candy Burke Robertson and our team in Maitland, Florida are phenomenal. They are special and genuinely care about. That's great. Care about their clients. Which I've heard that before. This is not like the first time. Martin, thank you for this. But this is like we hear this a lot about you guys. And so what is how do you hire those kind of people? Because that kind of stuff doesn't show up on a resume. Like you don't see that actually. You just said, "Oh, this person is a 9.4 on the care meter." That just doesn't. They don't see that. You see actually that their accolades. They see their accomplishments. They see their trophies, like you talked about. But you don't see actually that the person care. How do you find actually those people that care?
Yeah, so that is a great question, and I'm going to tell you my secret. I feel like I shouldn't because I feel like it's like a little secret, and I shouldn't.
No one's watching this. Just like that.
But using myself as an example, what brought me to HomePoint is Willie, and so I think it's people that view the world. That's kind of what I was saying. I think people that view the world that way, where look, we're running a business. So at the end of the day, we do have to watch our P&L and we have to be profitable. But if you lead with that and that's what you're thinking about first, I think that's a problem. And specifically to address your point, what attracted me to HomePoint was Willie does not lead with that. In fact, we just got off a call talking about everything that's going on in the world right now. And, the guy brought everyone, broke down in tears and brought everyone to tears. It's just like the amount of emotion and the raw emotion that I think he has, and the passion he has for people is inspiring, and it attracts other people that feel that same way. And so if I look at kind of what I've been focused on and getting to my secret here, I don't think I'm the smartest person in the room by any means. I think I work really hard. I think I care very deeply. I've never been focused on my own success. I've always tried to put other people's successes first. And I believe, and I don't know where I learned this, I just picked it up somewhere along the way, that the way you create success is you find the right people, right? And so when I joined HomePoint, my number one focus was simply to go to people I knew, to start talking. I just started canvassing the country in search for people that sort of demonstrated these values and were a good fit for our culture. And luckily there was a lot of good people already here, and luckily I've been able to just find some out, like Sabrina Lopez. So Candy Robinson runs the East Coast of HomePoint from an ops standpoint. You have Sabrina Lopez runs the West Coast. She's just everybody's good. They're just incredible people. You have Carrie in there. She's center part. You have Teresa Reber, who runs all of ops. These are all people that, they all just come to work every day and they care deeply about their employees, our customers, and the customers on the other end of the loan, the borrower, right? That's trying to get the loan. I mean, you have to care because it's a people business, and so to get to answer your question, it's that simple. It's like you find people that believe in that and you go get more of them, and they typically are attracted to each other. It's like a magnet.
Which I mean, by the way, I don't think you shared a formula. You shared actually something that basically is an intuition that you get when you are actually working with someone. Something that Willie got when he was scouting around, actually, saying, how do I build up actually this type of organization of what I want. So that's a great answer. Totally useless for most people here because we're not going to be able to follow it and follow your intuition.
Totally useless.
Yeah.
That's the way I feel.
Basically, what we have to do is we have to record actually the interviews that we have with our prospects, send them to you, and maybe actually we could somehow leverage on your secret sauce that you have there.
I will say this though, to hopefully make it less useless. I'm not saying that I always get it 100% right, because the other side of this is if you create that culture and you bring people into it that don't fit, they quickly stand out. And so that's the other part of it. And that's why I think the most important piece is it has to be top down. It has to be pervasive. It has to start at the top. The leader has to believe in it and has to start the revolution. Right.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, but and if the leader starts that revolution and you have the right soldiers in place that understand actually the marching orders without actually even being told every detail, where they know actually they can operate without actually hearing the specifics of everything because they understand actually the overall plan. That's when you have an organization that is going to kick butt. And yet it's like it's not about the trophy, it's not about the number one spot. It's beating you yesterday, beating actually what you did.
You raise a good point, because empowerment's a big part of that, right? So creating an environment where people feel like it's okay to be vulnerable. I think that's actually where a lot of companies go wrong is they create so much scrutiny. Again, to be 100% clear, we are very metric centric. And so as Candy would tell you, as all of our ops leaders, all of our production leaders, anyone in the company, we're constantly trying to measure ourselves and understand how our business is changing and how we can be better based on data. But I think where companies go wrong is if you don't bring the personal side into it, the aspect of human nature, which is at the end of the day, people, if people don't feel safe, like they can be vulnerable, they start to do really weird things. And specifically, they start to make decisions and react out of fear, or they make decisions and react out of insecurities. And so part of what you're doing is you're creating this environment where people feel like, hey, you know what? I can make a mistake. I can step out on a limb. I can make a mistake. And when I do that, I'm not going to be chastised. I'm not going to be, made to feel bad because I made a mistake. I'm going to be supported, and I'm going to learn from the mistake, and I'm going to get better. And it's just, again, this is probably very esoteric, and maybe it's a little much for your podcast, but I do personally believe, I'm very passionate about it. And I think it's the key to our success. I mean, we get all this money we're spending on technology. We're doing great things on technology. We're doing awesome things on process. We're doing really cool things on the servicing side. But the fundamental part, the key that's driving our success is this one concept.
Yeah. So, when you guys invest in technology, is it that will you buy technology or you try to develop it yourself?
I love that question, because I think this. Many years of my background were building these monolithic loan origination systems.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So no, we are very much a buy company in that. But I want to caveat that I think that we have a fairly large software development organization, and what they're focused on is integrating the different pieces and parts from the best of breed vendors that we can find out there. And so I think that the days of the monolithic loan origination system are probably numbered. And so our strategy is to deploy these things that are a bit more agile, tools that are a bit more agile, like workflow engines and rules engines that can be more quickly configured by the business and or a bit more like low code and don't require as much. Because the problem with writing these large software systems is you have so many layers of interaction that slow you down in your speed to evolve and move. You got the business has to conceptualize something. They have to communicate it to a business analyst who has to document it. That business analyst has to communicate that to a software developer who has to write the code. And all the while, you're hoping that they're all talking the same language. And I can tell you from experience, they never are, right? And so the way we're approaching it is we've actually kicked off a series of initiatives where it starts with, by the way, understanding your process. And so we're mapping out our process flow and we're understanding where the different touch points are and where we can remove things that are duplicative. And once you have that piece in place, deploying a workflow engine that can be configured by the business in a way that doesn't require as much heavy lifting from software development and puts the change closer to the business, I think that's the key to the future, right? And I probably shouldn't be saying this on this podcast because I'm giving you all of our secrets, but that's where we're taking our technology platform. And so we anticipate that, in the next, call it 9 to 12 months, there's going to be a material change and lift in not only our efficiency, but the speed of our platform, the performance, the experience our customers have. We're very excited about our technology initiative. And to that extent, talking about people, the person that's running, for example, the initiative, she ran ops for years, right? So it's like she's worked for Willie and Phil Miller, who's our COO and is responsible for technology now. These are people that have worked together, like the InterFirst days. You probably remember. This is actually a funny story because I always find myself these days thinking like I've somehow figured something out. And Willie is really quick to remind me that he did it at InterFirst. Right? So unfortunately, a lot of I think I'm adding some benefit, but a lot of what we're finding is the world hasn't changed all that much. If you think about what's important in mortgage banking, what's important to customers is they just want speed. They want speed. They want consistency. They want things to go well. And so if you kind of align your technology to make it super freaking easy and allow speed, I think that it's really that simple, unfortunately.
Yep, that's good. Why does everyone get it wrong though? Why? Like, how is it that? It's so simple for you, but so many lenders just get it wrong.
I do know. I don't know how to say this. I think it has a lot to do with the options that you have in the market today. And so if you and I'll use my experience in building loan origination systems from the ground up. The problem that you find is at some point the system you've built becomes so complex and interconnected that the actual cost of enhancing it's a no-win scenario. Like you can no longer change it because the complexity is so large. And I think to answer your question, I think it has to do with just this underlying problem within mortgage banking, and that the concept of a loan origination system in and of itself is flawed. Like you shouldn't have something that has that much interdependency. And so the idea is if you can break it up and you can create multiple separate systems and you can do it in ways or with technology that is easier to manipulate and doesn't require hiring an army of software developers, that's the issue, because mortgage banking is about scale. And unfortunately, if you look at the options out there, you have LE, you have Empower, and these companies have built these massive systems. And the other factor, it is a financial one, in that if you think about the cycles of mortgage banking, it's like this boom and bust thing. So you get this refi boom happens, everyone gets this windfall of margin and cash, and so then they start investing, and then it stops, and then it tanks, and then no one wants to spend any money on advancing their platforms. And so I think it makes it really tough for companies, these monolithic LOS companies, to maintain and enhance their systems in an ongoing, predictable way.
Yeah. Yep. No, it makes sense, and I guess, and when you're not building it yourself, and you're relying on other places to kind of to take the best in breed products from outside, your total cost of ownership, where I should say that you have a variable cost. So when business is flowing and they're doing great, your costs are going to be higher. And all of a sudden, if the volume shrinks, you have less of a liability. So over the past the past few months since COVID-19 had, talk to us a little bit about what happened to the organization. So how many employees were in Ann Arbor, Michigan?
Oh man, I don't have the exact counts in Ann Arbor. I mean, we're pushing 2,000 employees currently that are distributed across Ann Arbor and Dallas, Florida, Chandler, Arizona, and yeah. So we were. That's actually what's been most surprising about this whole situation we find ourselves in is just the flexibility of our and adaptability of our workforce. And we had, I think we were maybe better positioned because we did have a portion of our staff already set up to work remote, but we had, the vast majority of our staff worked in the office, and literally within a week and a half, we had 96% of them working remote, and so to make that shift in a week and a half, as while also growing production to the levels we've been able to grow it has honestly been the most shocking thing, for me. And it has everything to do with again, our people. It's just like, they're just incredibly competent, and because of that culture of an empowerment, I think it made it easier for us to make that shift, because that's oftentimes what you struggle with is how do you delegate, control and decisions to an entire workforce that's remote? I mean, it's just like, it's mind-boggling to think about what we've all gone through over the last, 3 or 4 months, and so that's kind of our, where we're at. I mean, we are still working remote. We're gonna use this as an opportunity to, I'll use Willie's term, reimagine the workforce and how we create maybe a bit of a more adaptable work environment, meaning, it's going so well, let's let it continue where it makes sense. Meaning, if it's, if an employee, if their lifestyle, if it's easier for them to work out of their house, then great. I actually have a feeling we're going to land in the middle, where we'll have some people that want to work remote permanently, and then you're going to have kind of this rotational deal where we have people coming into the office and for a couple of days and then going and working from home. And it's a really interesting thing to contemplate. And I will say this, like, I would not want to be in corporate real estate right now. Would you? I mean, this is just, every company's got to be thinking along the same lines.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking to most of the mortgage companies I'm talking to, their productivity has increased. I mean, I keep throwing out this number, but at least 25 to 50% of the people I know that were going into offices that are working home from now are never going to return back to an office.
Yes.
And a lot of people I'm talking to are thinking about the same format that you're talking about saying, hey, listen, it's still good to have that connection, to have the ability to kind of meet face to face, and just kind of brainstorm things face to face that you just can't have in a Zoom call. As awesome as Zoom calls are, as great as I feel, I'm more connected now to my team than I was before because of Zoom calls.
I totally agree with that, man. It is weird because I never was a big video, conference call guy, but it took a little bit to get adjusted to it, But now it's like, it feels so normal and natural, and I do think that it's actually brought another level of focus when you're in a meeting, right? It's like, it's odd. It's like people are watching you. It's just like, I find myself being hyper aware of more aware of what I'm doing. I think there's a lot of positive to it. There's also a lot of negative, because I do think that as a society, unfortunately, I think it's causing people to, disconnect in a way that, I mean, we'll see what that means long term, which is why I think it needs to be somewhere in the middle. There needs to be balance where you have the right amount of time interacting in the office, but then you're also very accommodating of what makes sense for people's personal lives.
Yeah, that's a great point. Listen, I know. Listen, when I'm on a phone call with someone, just so you know, if anyone's out there watching this, and I'm talking, there's a pretty good chance I'm checking my email. I'm probably doing something. I might be doing the dishes. I may be doing something else. I'm probably muting. But when we're zooming, I can't do that. I have to be focused here. I have to be like it's all hands on deck here. I'm going to bring up my dad actually just brought this up. I'm going to you've brought up what's happening now this past week. Look at the mortgage industry. Or looking at the mortgage industry, do you feel there's a lack of diversity? And following the call you mentioned with Willie, is there a goal to make this right for the mortgage profession and for their clients? We can talk a little bit about that. Which, by the way, I mean, you guys have actually been. I mean, I think have made it actually. And I don't think actually that you've made an effort, but I love looking at your leadership. Your leadership is a lot of women on there. But talk about a little diversity about actually the diversity, conversation that we really need to have. Especially this week.
Yeah, I know. That's you're just bringing all the good ones. Yeah. To answer your question, yes. I've actually felt that for a long time. I think it's there is a problem in mortgage banking with diversity. I think that, but I would broaden that a bit, and I would say that there still is a structural problem with our country. And I think. Racism and discrimination is still very much alive, and it is heartbreaking, and I don't know, we're still, our just I guess to address the point head on, our focus is to first make sure that our people are in a good spot, and so that was what Willie was doing today. We're heavily focused on making sure that we're helping our family, our HomePoint family, digest what's going on, and we're being supportive. But I do think that something more needs to come out of this, and it's not just mortgage; it's our entire country. So, it's time. The world is fundamentally broken, and it's unacceptable. And I don't have, to be honest, I don't have the answers. I try to. Personally in my own life, I try to live it a certain way that respects everyone, regardless of race, of sex. But there is an underlying tone within our society that just fundamentally needs to change, and mortgage is not an exception to that.
Yeah, well said. That's 100%. I think actually, and I think actually just, coming out of actually the lockdown has just added, fuel to the fire of a conversation that's need to have had, and now it's actually happening at a much more rapid pace than it ever would have had before.
Yeah, and hopefully it sticks, because I do think that it's been way too long, and like I said, it's unacceptable, and so we're not gonna tolerate it within our company, and we're gonna do everything we can to empower our people to be a part of whatever long-term movement needs to and will result from everything that's going on.
Fantastic. All right, Bill. Always great hanging with you. Thank you so much for taking the time with us today. Really, really appreciate it. It's been amazing, actually, just watching the unbelievable things that's not only had with your career, of course. I mean, that's been cool too. I was such a big fan of the amazing things you did, Caliber, and Caliber still does today. I still actually listen. I know when you talk about Caliber, you talk about them positively. I think so amazing of that company. But I mean, what you've done here is just phenomenal. What the entire team has done there, the love that people have for HomePoint is just phenomenal. Get Chandra following up. Thanks for admitting that, Phil. I worked with Willie over the years, starting at InterFirst. Would love to hear more of the diversity on your team. That's awesome. Thank you, Chandra. Yeah. So, Phil, thank you again.
Appreciate you having me, Andrew. Enjoyed it.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on the Mortgage Leadership Outlook. We really, really appreciate you being a part of this. We do these every day, Monday through Thursday at 4:00. We'll be live again tomorrow. So check us out every day here, Facebook, YouTube, and now LinkedIn, and also on Twitter. Everyone, have a great day and stay safe.